Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome back to another one of my videos. I am Blitz, and today I'm going to be talking about the AMX Prototype. Now, this tank has just hit the stores this morning for $40 US, and as always, I'm going to be getting into this tank, how to run it, where to run it, and all the other little things on the vehicle as well. Not to mention, I'm going to tell you guys my opinion on the vehicle and whether or not it should be placed in your garage. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say this is actually one of my all-time favorite Tier 9s in the game, and it's actually one of my favorite tanks just to pull out for a bit of fun. And that's just because of the unique characteristics that it has stuck in it, and it's a gun depression tank, and as 90% of you guys know, I love my gun depression vehicles, and this is one of them, and it's definitely one of the highest regarded ones in my garage. Now, when you take a look at the damage per minute and the statistics of the vehicle, right off the bat, you can notice that the damage per minute by no means is spectacular, but it's also not bad. It's sitting at 2,800. And, you know, 2,800, it's definitely not like a T55A's 3,000, but 2,800, you're going to get the job done. It's not like you're behind any of the other mediums. You're going to pull out the same amount of times as them. You're definitely going to be able to shoot them just as many times as they're going to be able to shoot you. So that is one good thing about the tank. Another good thing is the standard penetration. It's sitting at 232 millimeters of penetration, which means that, you know, any tier 8 you go up against, easy pens right through the front, even some of the more armored ones at tier 8. Tier 9, it's going to be like a 50-50 through some of the heavies, but you're still going to have a fairly easy time penetrating pretty much any of the other classes at tier 9. And even tier 10, it's just really nice that you have that high amount of penetration, and not to mention how flexible this tank really can be in battle. That is really nice that it gets the pen. However, unfortunately, it does have a downside where the APCR pen is only 263. And that is quite unfortunate because that means any tank that is German, like the E100, like the Jagdpanzer, even tanks like the 263, where you would normally be able to shoot your heat, which does 300 plus mil of pen, even on tier 9 vehicles. You can't do that on this AMX. It's just you're not going to be able to shoot through the superstructure of vehicles like the E100 and the Jagdpanzer, which is going to make it very tough for you to be able to counter enemy tanks once they start to push on you. However, as I said, the AMX is a very, very flexible tank, and that's because it does get that 10 degrees of gun depression. And not to mention, it also actually has a pretty decent armor profile. Now, when I say that, the hull armor is just absolutely trash. You're going to get hit by every shot in the hull, and it's 99% of the time going to penetrate. Definitely don't listen to me on the part where the armor is very good, except for the turret. The turret is very, very well armored, and that is a really, really good thing about the tank, because as I said, it's a gun depression vehicle. And when you combine gun depression with a very, very well armored turret, that starts to become why this tank is so good and flexible. And not to mention, the tank is pretty low down, or not at least the tank's low down, it's probably, you know, about the same height as a Leopard. However, it's about the turret. The turret is very, very small, as you can see, and that gun mantlet on the front of the tank, which covers a large chunk of that turret, is around 400 to 500 millimeters thick. So you're definitely not going to be able to go through that gun mantlet ever. Even tier 10 tank destroyer shooting heat will not penetrate this tank's gun mantlet. Unfortunately, the cheeks of the turret, you can see next to the gun mantlet, are, I'd say, about 200 millimeters thick, and even above the gun mantlet, still only about 200 thick. So you definitely need to get your gun depression in play, because that is the only armored spot on this vehicle, really, is that gun mantlet. However, you seem to bounce about 60 to 80% of the shots that you ever receive through the turret, which is really, really nice, and it makes it just one of the best vehicles for me to run in the game, currently at tier 9. Now, the map I loaded on here, you can see, is Oasis, which is a very, very hilly terrain, which is perfect for a tank like the AMX, because you definitely want to utilize the gun depression that the tank has, because it's just so fun and good. Not to mention, the tank also is very, very quick, which is awesome when you add that with the flexibility of the gun, because when you're driving this tank along, it's got that gun depression. It also has the mobility. 60 kilometers per hour is very, very quick. However, you did see right there that WZ went right through the cheek of our turret. As I said, that is a weak spot on the vehicle. And you can also see that accuracy on the gun isn't spectacular. I would definitely not try or even think about sniping this tank. It's just not an accurate gun. Its dispersion is 326, which is on the lower spectrum of the scale for most mediums at Tier 9, and especially when you're trying to fight Tier 10 vehicles. You're just not going to be able to hit all of your shots. You can see there that IS-3 shot there was pretty lucky that it went into him. However, it does seem to get some pretty nice snapshots. As you're going to see here, another lucky shot right into that IS-3. I'm not sure if that's just Wargaming giving me a little bit of sunshine, or the vehicle actually has some good values on it. Now, one of the things I actually noticed about the tank is the high explosive is pretty useless on it, which really got me sad. It only does 350 average damage with the high explosive, and the standard damage is 310. So for this tank, I've actually realized that shooting high explosive is useless. Even if you have the ability to, really don't even go for it, because if you mess up one of your HE, it's still not even worth it, because you mess up one when you could have just fired your AP and pretty much done the same damage anyways. So HE on this tank, that is one of my low points for it. I really wish it did have that nice HE pen. However, you can see there another penetration that just went right in. But you can see that the gun aiming time is not spectacular, which is unfortunate. But if it did have a very, very quick aiming time, it would be completely broken. That's also why I feel it doesn't get heat rounds for the secondary ammo, because if it did and it was able to just spam heat at everybody, it definitely would be a little bit overpowered. Now, my regards to the tank, I don't think it's overpowered, but it's definitely getting close to overpowered. Because it's just so flexible in the right scenarios. I can average about 3,500 damage every game in this vehicle. And that's pretty impressive. You're going to see here, in that, again, another snapshot. The shells do go where I want them to, usually. Even though the aiming time and the dispersion isn't spectacular, the shells still seem to go where you want. The penetration isn't really that bad as long as you get it to work. And that damage per minute, as I said, might not be spectacular, but you can still get that number to add up if you keep tapping the enemy over and over. You can see 4,500 damage this game. Again, another shot, 4,750. Are we going to be able to break that 5K mark? Let's hope so. And I literally played this game like 20 minutes ago. So it's not like I, played this tank for an hour or 2 hours trying to get a replay out. I literally just played these games, when I had free time today, and pulled out these games. And the other ones were 3,000s. I had a couple ones where I got a little over my head and was a little too aggressive, but as long as you're smart and you know how to read enemy lineup, just like I said in my AMX 30B video, you will do very, very well in this tank. Not to mention, it is a premium, so they're not going to nerf it. It makes great credits. You can see here, 50,000. That was without premium on. With premium, another 40,000 added into that, so we would have gotten around, 90, 100,000 this game. We picked up the mastery. You can see the tank just does really well for me, and I personally love it. I think this is, to be honest, one of the best deals you can get in the game. I completely agree with Meadsy's opinion on the tank. However, there is one thing I still want to add if you're still watching the video. The tank is very, very hard to run if you don't know how to work with gun depression, because, as I said, the damage per minute isn't spectacular, and a Leopard has better damage per minute, and if you don't utilize the gun depression in this tank, you're just wasting your hit points, you're wasting your armor, and that's not the way this tank is meant to be played. So if you have a tough time getting into gun depression situations, or just a tough time running vehicles like the Leopard, or really any mediums that require gun depression, I wouldn't suggest to pick up this tank, because it might be very good, but it's only very good in the right hands. You need to know what you're doing. If you're not spectacular in mediums and you're just hearing the tank's really good, but you're still not a great player in mediums, it's not going to change how good you are in battle. If you aren't a good player in mediums, don't pick this tank up. You're not going to enjoy it. Save your money for the Blitz fair. It will be coming out soon, probably again in the Blitz fair, along with another bunch of tanks. So yes, just only pick up this tank, I'd say, if you really love tanks like the Standard B, like the AMXs. And if you own the AMX 30B, definitely pick this thing up, because this tank is just such a beast. And for $40, really, that's not that expensive. $40 for a Tier 9. This tank used to cost, I think, $75 when it first came out after crates. So it's definitely not a bad deal at all. But other than that, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button down below. If you didn't, hit me up with a downvote. Let me know why you didn't like it. Make sure to subscribe. I always love my subscribers. Hopefully we will get some more. And if you're staying till the end of this video now, Martin Dogger and I might be doing something a little special very soon, so keep your eyes open for that. But other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one.